just keep you from putting our kids in the ground. So we can't stand down. No, we won't back down. We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't stand down, brother. So we'll stand our ground. And no, we won't back down. 'Cause we know what's right. And we got plenty of fight. And if you think you're gonna keep pushing us around, well, you'll lose that crown. 'Cause we won't back down. We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. We've got to stand our ground. And no, we won't back down. You know, it's pretty clear. If these lunatics think they have the right to strip us of our rights of self-defense, and if they're willing to do that, what else are they willing to do? We won't back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. No, we won't back down. Back down, baby. There ain't no easy way out. We can't back down, brother. We've got to stand our ground. So we won't back down. No, we won't back down. Virginians, you won't fight this fight alone.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for joining us on the monthly VCDL live stream. I am joined here with Jill McDaniel, our Academy Director.
Hello,
Hi, Jill.
everyone. Hi.
And you may have noticed Philip is not with us tonight. He is doing a live interview somewhere else. So
We kicked him out.
I don't know about that. But,
No, we didn't.
yeah, so anyway, click here. Okay. Welcome to the VCDL live stream. Sure everybody has heard so far about the wonderful letter that Harmeet Dillon sent to Governor Spanberger.
Yes.
And Jill, what were your thoughts on that? Did you?
I was shockingly, just with everything that was going on, especially with the DOJ, I was very shocked that it came. Because just sitting here, from a Virginian's perspective, thinking, oh my gosh, they've forgotten about us, and now all of these, people getting fired or let go and everything like that. I'm like, they don't have time for us anymore. And I knew that they were looking into it because myself and VCDL had been speaking with people within the DOJ. We've got our connections, and I just didn't expect it to be that direct either. I think that was the shock that I really she blatantly, right out said, you're on notice. This is what's happening if you go this far. So I have chills just thinking about it. I'm like, yay, thank you. But then again, I want to know what took so long. I don't know if that may be a strategy of theirs. I'm digging it either way, but I have to say that I was highly impressed, and I even sent an email, as I was telling you before we came on, thanking her and giving her my perspective as a Virginian and a mother here, a woman, and also a firearms instructor. So I was, very, very thankful and grateful. So, it's fingers crossed, prayers up, whatever. Let's just get it, hopefully
Mm-hmm.
that put the fear of something in the
Yeah.
whole system.
Yeah. You sent me, maybe it wasn't you that sent me, somebody sent a post about Dan Helmer
Yeah.
talking
Yeah.
about how she and the rest of the regime was in the pockets of the NRA. They were something about their NRA masters. And I commented back. It was a comment on X, I think,
Yeah.
that he posted. And I commented back, so you're doing this to appease your Everytown masters?
Yeah.
Because Everytown wrote a lot of these bills, if not all of them.
Yeah.
And some of the senators and delegates even had to have the Everytown lobbyist come up
Mhm.
and explain the bill for them because they didn't even know what was in the bill.
That's hilarious.
So, yeah.
That's hilarious.
But it's tomorrow is the last day. Tomorrow at midnight
Mhm.
is the last day for Governor Spanberger to act on any of these bills, and she has signed a surprising few of them. So we can look at what she has signed so far. And the ones that she signed, with the exception of the Standards of Conduct bill, are not that they're not bad, but they're less bad than most of the other bills. So the one that she signed is HB 19 and SB 160.
Mhm.
19 was by Delegate McClure and SB 160 Senator Perry, which makes battery in a dating relationship a misdemeanor that takes away your Second Amendment rights.
Mhm.
And one of the concerning things I saw about that, even more concerning than just the bill itself, just expanding misdemeanor crimes, quote unquote crimes, that
Mhm.
take away your God-given and constitutionally protected rights, is that they define now in this bill a family member as anybody that you have cohabited with in the last year.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it could be your college roommate for that
Yeah.
matter. So, I mean, that's not exactly a dating relationship necessarily. But,
No,
yeah,
and
they just increments, little bit by little bit, taking
yeah,
away, expanding who a prohibited person is. Uh,
that to me is, and I think that's just across the board is just the vagueness of these bills.
mhm.
It's there's no clarity whatsoever, and I think that that's something that is going to create a problem. I'm already seeing it because there are so many questions, in groups that we're in. That's the whole point of us having these live streams,
Mhm.
is that people want answers. They want to have someone to give them that information to clear these things up. And Philip has put it out in one of his posts, because of a YouTube video that was going around. There's a not necessarily wrong information, it's not all of the information, and it can be misconstrued because there's too many open ends. And that's what these bills do. It's just a layer upon a layer upon a layer. They're building an onion of so many layers of bills and laws, and it's just confusing the populace. I mean, it's just people don't know whether they're being conditioned to not exercise a right.
Right.
That is
And
my
some of the videos that are out there, especially the AI generated videos, are flat out wrong.
yeah.
And just beware of things that have grab your attention headlines on
Mhm.
them. The sensational
Yeah.
headlines that Virginia has banned blah 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 blah. And
Mhm.
so, in the first place, oh, look who's here.
I'm
Hang
sorry.
on a second.
Yeah, they,
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to look at it.
I
yeah, there was
Welcome.
the
doing this
schedule.
on purpose.
There's a schedule. I have no idea what was going on before I came on. So But
Yeah.
you were saying, I'm damn glad he didn't show up, and then boom. Uh,
Were
uh,
you listening?
No, I didn't say.
but
I had made a joke that we kicked you out, but I texted
oh
y'all earlier about me being. We have a process after we do these streams, and Philip and I
oh
are always in competition.
yeah.
So it's a long story, but anyway, he showed up tonight, so now I'm gonna
Yeah,
leave.
so now you don't stand a chance on living up to that threat.
Ugh.
So, well, Mark Walters, I think there was a scheduling conflict. They have some congressman or something on the show right now, so I sent a text to see if he wants to be on next hour, or if I'll have to come on at a later date. So whenever I hear, I might have to get off, but I don't expect. I think I'll be here for at least an hour.
Okay.
Unluckily for you.
So, Philip, we covered the HB 19 and SB 160, and then we were talking about videos on YouTube and other social media posts and things that were flat out wrong. So, like you put in the VA alert that went out a couple of days ago, and one
Good
last
video.
week as well. Just if it's not from a trusted source, and there's very few trusted sources,
Exactly.
but if it's not from a trusted source, please contact us before you panic
And
because.
to
Go
add
ahead.
to that, I want to say, and to add to that too, and we live in a digital era. We live in everything is on at our fingertips, and there's so much information that's being regurgitated over and over and over again. I mean, we have influencers and stuff like that. God bless them. Some of them are just doing it all. But at the same time, we have to be really careful with what they're saying. Sometimes that circle of constantly repeating the same thing that an
Mm-hmm.
influencer 2 weeks ago just posted,
Yeah.
that it's like playing a game of telephone.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if anybody played that game
Yeah.
growing up, but that game of telephone, yeah, that you tell a secret and it goes down the line, and by the time it gets to the end of the line, it's completely just a bunch of crap. So
Right.
I call me old school. I go straight. I'm not a performative activist by any means. I'm like one of those hardcore. I like to get into communities. I like to actually talk to my neighbors about what's going on rather than saying, "Hey guys," on social media groups and stuff like that. So I ain't hating, but at the same time, I am be responsible and accountable for what you're saying and passing along. That's all I
Yeah,
ask.
and
Listen,
Although
ask.
to
it's
add to
got
what Jill says, before you repost or share something, please
Yeah.
verify it because we need to hold ourselves accountable. And we don't want to be like the other side spreading
No.
falsehoods and lies. So,
yeah,
and
we get
anyway,
held to a higher standard. I was going to
Yes.
say, for what Jill's saying, no, it has to be kind of a complicated story that you're telling that gets changed, where you got
Yes.
to remember a lot of details. Because I assume that if it was something like vote no on gerrymandering, that by the time it got to the end, it would still say vote no. But
Mhm.
maybe
Yeah,
not.
it's just like what, and that also has to go along with a lot of people. And you can go on social media right now. There are a lot of people that do not understand the legislative process whatsoever.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I mean, and that's the whole point of what I do. That's what I teach for the academy, and I'm on my own little soapbox right now. But I'm seeing actual people in politics, like figureheads, blue checks. I mean, people that are very famous in politics on the right and some on the left, but they are talking about bills that never went to the governor's desk, and they're complaining about those
Mhm.
when we should be complaining about exactly what we're here for tonight.
Yeah.
So
And
it's wild.
let me say, too, the thing that I've been hearing from a few people is, well, look what happened in Rhode Island, where they actually have a bill to confiscate guns. Now, let's pause there and say, number one, it's still a bill. This
Yeah.
thing has
Mhm.
not become law. So again, we can run around and when in doubt and when in fear, run in circles, scream and shout, whatever. No, you need to know what the facts are. If you come across on something that's not even a law and you're acting like it is, you look like an idiot. So, you need to know what you're acting on, make sure it's correct. But they were saying, well, but look what's happening there. We need to make sure that stop it from happening here. But the problem is, how do you stop something that hasn't even happened yet? It may never happen, and you don't know what form it's going to take, how this is going to happen. So to me, uh, there isn't much you can do. Just
Yep.
keep your eyes open for the first signs. Sure, first thing you see that says, "Hey, they're looking at confiscation here," then we react very differently. And let
Yeah.
me say that would be a number one. There would be no higher priority than stopping something like that from happening in Virginia, because then you could be verging on civil war.
Mhm.
So,
Hmm.
especially if they're taking the very guns that the founding fathers would expect us to have. So, but so I just say we deal with what we've actually got, and we keep our eyes open for anything down the road. But we can't overreact to everything like the world's constantly ending. That's just not the way
Amen.
to run a
Amen.
railroad.
Yeah. Anyway, like I said, we've covered the dating relationship bill, and if you want to take it from there and
Okay.
review some of the others. So
Hey,
these are bills that are have been signed by Governor Spanberger at this point.
so we know what the bills look like because they haven't been changed.
Right.
So we do know that. It's a possibility she may change some bills that we haven't seen yet on this list, and so there could be some bills that get signed later that actually are different than what we see right this minute. And this dating relationship thing, it's all part of the plan for civilian disarmament. Again, they're trying to take away gun rights from as many people as they can with as flimsy of an excuse as they can, because here we're talking about misdemeanors. These are
Right.
minor crimes, and they know they're minor crimes.
Right.
Pat, you and I encouraged them, said, well, if this is so bad, if this thing is worthy of taking away somebody's right to keep and bear arms, even for 3 years, make it a
Hmm.
felony.
Right.
If it's got to be so dangerous, then it's got to be a felony. Oh, no, no. They don't want to do that. So it's a game they're playing. This isn't about saving lives. This ultimately is about finding one more brick in the wall to lock us away from our guns.
That's exactly
Yeah. I
right.
mean, the misdemeanor assault and battery can be as simple as throwing a pillow at somebody.
I think even just
You know.
touching. I mean, literally,
Yes. Uh huh.
maybe you give somebody a little push. You should lose your gun rights because
Or
somebody,
grab their arm. How
exactly.
many of us have never grabbed somebody by the arm? I have. I don't know of anybody
Well,
that hasn't done that.
yeah, I bet no hands went
I'm
up.
from Southern Virginia.
Yeah. But like Philip says, that they would have a civil war on their hands if they just banned guns entirely and disarmed the populace. But if they disarm one segment and another segment and another segment, little bite, little bite, little bite,
Yep.
how do you eat an elephant? One
Yeah.
bite at a
All
time.
the time. That's right, and that's
And
why they keep layering these laws. I mean, it's just it.
Yeah, they don't want
Yeah,
to trigger people saying, "Okay, I've had it. This is enough." They don't want to go on that
they're,
line where the Second
they're going to
Amendment
give
was
us.
for. So
I
they're
mean,
going to do it slowly.
I have noticed a lot more lately, just within the last month or so. It's all of a sudden anybody that is pro two way or staunch pro two way, like myself. We're MAGA extremists again. Remember that
mhm,
for the longest time they put that lingo to bed. They're like, no, we're gonna all get along, and we need to unite, and we need to be,
mhm.
this is what us, moderately we need to do, and blah blah blah. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, okay, well today, all of a sudden I'm a MAGA extremist just because I'm very pro 2A. That's actually not, no,
Again, the Second Amendment should not be a partisan issue. It
it
shouldn't
isn't.
be a MAGA. It shouldn't be a donkey issue. It shouldn't be an elephant issue. It's everybody. This is something we all share as human beings,
Yep.
and it's so sad that that's where we are. That we
Yeah.
actually have a party that isn't interested in protecting our most basic and most important right.
Yep.
It's,
Yep.
it's shameful, quite frankly. Should not be that way. Anyhow, but there it is.
Yep.
None of these bills have been sponsored by a Republican. What can I say? Okay, let's take a look at HB 21. Delegate Helmer and SB 27, Senator Carol Foy. So those two had the same bill, one from the House, from the Senate. That's called a cognate. When you've got a bill and then you've got an exact duplicate in the other house, they call it a cognate. So this one is one of the, it's probably of the ones she's signed so far, this is probably the most dangerous one. This bill is the one that says you can sue anybody involved in any shape or form of the firearms industry. Doesn't have to be a gun maker. Could be a gun maker, but it could be a guy that makes holsters. Could be a company that produces gun belts. It could be anything associated with the firearm industry. They can be sued civilly in court for something where somebody claims they got harmed. You know, maybe there was a bank robbery and the bad guy had bought his ammunition, at some local gun store. Well, then maybe they could be sued for him having that ammunition. There's no other industry we do this with. It's again, guns are always singled out. On the other hand, there's a federal law against exactly this. And I don't think, this is something it's going to be fought very hard. Exactly what part we're going to play, we haven't decided yet. The industry is the National Shooting Sports Foundation. The industry protects or works for gun manufacturers and gun dealers is laser focused on this one because that affects all of the people that are members of NSSF, all your gun dealers and stuff like that. But we may still want to get involved as well and file our own suit to go after this. That's something the board will have to decide. We've got other things we're definitely going after. This one, because a big industry was going after it, we're not sure yet, but we'll see. Yeah. But this is serious because you will have companies going, I just don't want to ship anything to Virginia anymore because if I do, this law, they can come and sue my pants off. And let me say the really part of this that made my blood boil was that it said that the person suing did not have to show the person that's being sued that person in any way, shape, or form had any bad intentions or did anything wrong. They don't have to show that.
And Philip, did you read the fiscal impact report?
I saw that. Yeah, you put something up. Yes.
Yes. They're hiring 3 more people in the Attorney General's office so that the Attorney General can go after businesses that are creating this so-called public nuisance. Make no mistake, people, this bill is intended to force manufacturers and distributors not to sell to Virginia dealers and to force Virginia dealers to reconsider whether or not they want to stay in business because of the liability. Mm-hmm. And insurance for a gun store or a gun distributor or anything like that is already stupid expensive. So what do you think is going to happen to the insurance for your favorite local gun store when this bill goes into effect?
Yep.
It's going to skyrocket, double or triple. And it very well may put these gun dealers, local gun dealers, out of business.
Yeah, they're thinking to themselves, yeah, you got a Second Amendment right, but see if you can find somewhere to sell you a gun or see if you can buy ammunition. Ha, ha, ha. Yeah, enjoy your Second Amendment. Everything is shut down. Now,
how do you starve? How do you beat people that are in an impenetrable fortress? You starve them out. You prevent their supply chain from getting to them.
Yes.
And that's the strategy here.
Yeah. And the thing about it is it's so in your face. It's so clearly pushing frivolous lawsuits. They want people to do. And it was funny because Pat was in person at one of the meetings when we were snowed in. She managed to get out from one of those meetings. And this bill came up. And Pat made the point of, the reason the federal law against this was passed is because the gun control organizations were getting people to file frivolous lawsuits. They were funding all these frivolous lawsuits, and it was doing serious damage. So the federal government stepped in. And when she walked by one of the gun controllers, his reaction was not a friendly one.
No, he muttered something under his breath that I didn't understand because I said some of them are represented here in this room.
Yes, they are. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so you weren't supposed to talk about that. No, these were innocent people that were just
Mm-hmm.
suing. Oh my.
Hmm.
Oh
But yeah,
yeah.
the truth hurt on that one, and that's what it's
Yeah.
all about. That's exactly what it's all about. And everybody that signed on to this, it just shows you. And I don't think there was a single Republican that went for this, and it should not be that way. Democrats should be on board with protecting this right,
Yep.
but
Right.
you're going to see this over and over.
Especially,
And
especially if they think, and dare I bring it up, the whole redistricting and gerrymandering. If they're the whole purpose of them is to keep Trump out of Virginia, why? What? Somebody make it make sense. Here you
I
have
don't
this
know.
right
He's
that
not
is
running for office in Virginia, is he?
exact. Well, no, but that's their claim. But you have this right that keeps tyrannical, government out of your state and out of your area and everything like that. But you want to limit access to this right to the people in your state, all while claiming that you are doing all this gerrymandering and redistricting to keep the tyrant out of the state. Something to.
Look,
I'm
when
waiting for
I
logic to. I mean,
bad mistake.
yeah.
But when I hear the anti-gunners talk, I just reverse what they're saying, and then I know what they're really saying. Oh,
Yeah.
we want to protect people from from crime, and in reality, they don't. They do just the opposite. They want to reduce penalties for violent criminals. They want to let them out of jail early. They want to hamper people like you and me. So just keep reversing it,
Yeah.
and it's all a lie. They say, oh, yeah, it's Alinsky all the way. Rules for radicals.
Hmm.
You blame your enemy for what you're doing.
Yeah.
So and they do this all the time. They're constantly deflecting what they're doing and blaming somebody else. Well, they do continue doing what they're doing. Again, it's also like the king who had no clothes.
Yeah.
They're doing it right in front of your face, but they expect you not to believe your lying eyes. That you're supposed to believe what they say and blame
Yeah.
somebody that had nothing to do with it.
Just, I don't know.
Yeah,
Oh my gosh.
it's frustrating, but this is all the more reason we cannot afford to lose. We cannot
Yeah.
afford to lose any of this.
And that's
We need to.
something a lot of people don't understand too. And I'm not trying to, say, yeah, well, I'm going to tell people, please, think about it in terms of your actual constitutional rights, because even though it is temporary or whatnot, that's an overlap in power, because Trump will be out in 2.5 years, and that this will still be going on for 2.5 years post. I mean, like after
Mhm.
the new president. What people aren't understanding is that when you have a change in a congressional shift, even though it says congressional and temporary, that's going to extend that power for years beyond, because it's such in a contained area that when you think about the state or your local government, especially congressional, it's in a contained area, so that those laws can affect what happens 10, 15 years down the line. So
Hmm.
it's not necessarily temporary. And you can look this up. I mean, any Google, AI, whatever, Grok, whoever, whatever you're using this, it will tell you this. I mean, even though it says it's just congressional, it can impact things after it lets up in what, 2030. So it's not temporary.
Now, and
Anybody in
this will
politics
never
can
end.
tell you this. Yeah.
This will
So
never end. We're in a battle that's never
yeah.
going to end. If you think for 10 seconds that this is going to end at some point, you say, "Oh, I'm done. I can go back to my." It's never going to end.
The only
Again,
thing
just
that the silver lining that I can see is that it will force people in these areas to pick better candidates to
yes,
run for
Hmm.
office. That's the
and
only
to
silver lining.
and to
Because
vote.
yeah,
Some
yeah,
of them may have finally learned, I don't know, some of them may have finally learned their lesson about voting, that you've got to do it. Now, it doesn't matter
yeah.
who's president. What happens in the
True. I mean,
state
Hmm.
is different issue.
yeah.
Yep.
So,
So
all right,
the
go ahead,
quote that
Pat.
came to
Sorry.
mind when you said that it'll never end is that the price of freedom is eternal vigilance.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
And but Philip, do you want to? The next most egregious bill is HB 40 and SB
Yeah,
323. You want to hit
yeah.
on those?
Yeah, those, that's Delegate Simon from the House and Senator Eben from the Senate. This is the one that goes after frames and receivers that are unserialized. Homemade guns is what it goes. They like to call them ghost guns. Totally made up term. In fact, I remember when I saw it first used by a senator or a delegate or somebody from California. And he just threw that term out there, and the press, of course, ran with it. I guess because a ghost is supposed to be scary. I always thought of Casper as a friendly ghost. But anyhow, some are probably too young out there to even know what I'm talking about. So, but so, and again, here's where you've got to be careful when who you get your information from, because there was one video about, oh boy, this is a felony if you break this law. You're a felon if you do this. Well, the provision in here that's a felony is if you make a completely plastic gun that's got no metal, not enough metal in there to trigger a metal detector. That's been a federal law forever. So, that, I say forever. I guess Glock is what brought that one on, even though their gun was nothing like again, that was supposed to have been all plastic. You can't detect it. It was all baloney. But that's what that was based on. That's not what most people are concerned about in this bill. That's not something to panic over. What it is, it's a misdemeanor if you have an unserialized homemade gun after, I think it's going to be, it becomes officially illegal, doesn't it, on July 1st of 27. Right.
Mm-hmm.
But the suggestion would be, okay, they made no exception after that time for you to be en route to a gun dealer to have your gun serialized if you were stopped in between. If you were going to the police to turn it in, that would be an excuse not to be arrested if you were doing that. So the reason I'm saying this is if you've got, some of those guns and you decide that you want to go ahead and serialize them, because you have two options. You've got the not comply option, which would be, which is always an option you've got. But then again, there's a penalty for that if things don't go well. But if you do want to comply with that, saying, oh, okay, then my suggestion would be that you get to a dealer before December. Probably the best thing would be before December 31st of this year, because something else part of that kicks in on January 1, I think. There was
making an unserialized firearm becomes illegal after January 1.
Okay, but still, there's going to be a rush.
Possessing it after July 1, 2027, if it's unserialized. Mm-hmm. So, and the bill also says that kits, like 80% kits and things like that, have to be serialized and go through an FFL if you want to buy one to make your own gun.
So my suggestion is go ahead. I would schedule it in when you get a chance before the end of the year.
Yeah.
You don't want to wait till everybody's trying to, and plus you don't even know what dealers are going to do this yet. Mm-hmm. I don't even know if I've asked you, Pat, but you've got the equipment to do. She's got a really powerful laser system.
Them.
Yeah,
but
okay.
I've heard rumors, I haven't verified, but I've heard rumors that some dealers that are equipped to do it will not do it. But not all dealers are equipped to do it. That takes specialized equipment.
So you might want to start looking into it when you get a chance. Those of you out here that might have those that want to do that.
And we will try to get emergency injunctions to prevent these laws from being enforced until we have the chance to try the whole case. Right. But there's no guarantee that we will get an emergency injunction.
Or there's no guarantee we could win the case. I kind of doubt that, but there's no guarantee. So you have to decide if you're going to do civil disobedience, then you got, at least But if you don't plan on doing that, and maybe what we could do, Pat, I don't know, I'll have to think this through, is if we find dealers that are willing to do this, we could provide a list, maybe on the website, and say, hey, if you because if everybody's doing it, then we don't need to. But if there's only like 5 people in the whole state doing this, then
Yeah.
then we it might be nice to have a place where people can go without everybody reinventing the wheel.
Yeah.
So Mitchell Ring asked a question, and it's not a stupid question, Richard. The older guns that weren't serialized pre 68, when all commercial guns were required to be serialized. So what the bill says is that an unserialized firearm made before 1968 is exempt from this bill. So if you made your homemade firearm before 1968, it doesn't specify that it had to be commercially manufactured.
Right.
So if you have a pre 68 firearm that you made at home, you don't have to have it serialized. And if you have one of the older commercially manufactured firearms that is not serialized, you do not have to have that serialized. So I've seen some discussion going on in the chat about the merits of voting versus not voting, and is it rigged or blah, 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 blah. And what I'll say to that is, if you don't vote, then people you don't like are pretty much guaranteed to get into office.
Yeah.
But voting is only a little tiny bit of the entire process. It is a necessary part. All the parts are necessary. If you take one gear out of your engine, it is not going to run properly. So voting is just one gear, and we need to be proactive. We've been reactive up to this point. Some of us have, some of us have not, but too many have been reactive up to this point. Instead of getting involved in your local county and city governments, in your state government, trying to get good people to run for office, and then helping them get the signatures on the petitions, and going door to door and saying, hey, did you know so and so is running for office, and this is what they're fighting for your rights, and so on and so forth. And knowing what bills are going through the General Assembly and going down and testifying. You don't even have to go down to testify anymore. You can do it from your phone or your computer. All you need is a microphone and a camera. And knowing what the bills say. But if we're not engaged, then people are doing things without our knowledge, and all of a sudden you wake up one day and find out that these things that have been legal for centuries are all of a sudden illegal, and we become overnight criminals. So
That's exactly right. And that somebody said earlier, complacency, and that is something that's very big. Yes, voting is just a small portion. It's an important one. All of it's important. It is a small portion. Understanding the legislative process, as Pat pointed out, getting involved in your communities, not just on social media. Take a break, go meet a neighbor, go get involved in a community event, go, chit chat. A lot of politicians will tell you, call 5 people. I say call 3 people. Call your best friend, your mom, and maybe a brother or sister, and then have them call 3 people. But
Yeah,
I mean, it's not that
sure.
big of a deal. I mean, it's like, if you really give a crap about what's going on, go out there and do it. And stop regurgitating the same talking points, because I'm going to tell you right now, if you go on any social media platform and you actually dig into the comms, the people that are doing the PR, the marketing, and the political setup and PR work for all these left-wing gun-grabbing politicians, they rely on you to be stupid. They rely on you to be complacent. They are making fun of us right now. I have been on a rant about this for about 2 weeks. I have minions that sit in Mom's Demand Action meetings and they laugh at us. So, really, y'all, come on. I mean, like,
right.
get real. When you go to rallies after a law has passed, and I ain't hating on rallies, I like freedom of speech. Hey, I'm right here, right now, right? But when you're doing this and you're not putting that action during the timeline that it matters, we're screwed. We're completely screwed. We wonder why we have all these bills on like right now, being signed, being looked at by the governor, by a gun grabbing governor. Well, here's your sign, folks.
Right.
Here's your sign.
We
So,
should have had twice the people show up for Lobby Day this year
yes.
as in 2020, and we didn't. And that's sad. But I saw something a little bit way back about voting being a sham. If you're worried about
Hmm.
voter integrity, volunteer
Yeah.
or go to your registrar's office and become an election official. You get involved in the process and make sure that the integrity is there.
Mm-hmm.
So, be a part of it and stop any fraud that there is. That's
Yeah.
that's the only way that we're going to make a difference and change the way that things are. So, you can say voting is dumb all you want to, but the fact of the matter is that's what decides who makes the laws.
Mm-hmm.
And then if we don't get out there and vote, like a lot of people didn't this past election last November, and now we're stuck with all of this stuff that we've got right now.
The
So,
other side loves it. The other side loves it if any of our members say, "Yeah, voting's a
Yeah.
sham." Oh, they love it. That's like, whoa, we're doing a great job getting these people to
Every
just hand
town.
over hand
Yes.
over the the state to
Every
us.
town senior communications specialist right now, the senior communications guy, his name is Max Steele. You can go on any of his social media pages. He is literally saying, hey, if you guys had have gotten out and voted and probably gotten engaged and started, I don't know, rallying way beforehand, maybe y'all would have had a good turnout. Maybe y'all wouldn't be seeing these bills, but the people spoke. That's exactly what's happening. They're
Yeah,
telling us what we did wrong, and we're not taking it into consideration.
yeah. Voting is how
Scary.
things work in this country. Maybe it's not perfect and there's some flaws, but we have to fight for this country. We have to fight for voting. What are you going to do? Get rid of voting? If we got our way with everything, we shouldn't have any votes anymore. That's not how a democracy runs. I know it's a constitutional republic, but we vote on where we go, that where the ship is steered, controlled by a constitution. But no, that's how it works. You can't give up on voting. Like Pat said, then go ahead and get on a committee. If it really bothers you, get in there and try to fix that system. Make sure it's okay. At least make sure your locality is not doing anything untoward.
mhm.
Yep.
So, but we gotta fight for the whole Constitution and all of our rights, and that includes voting. Giving up on it is not good. That is absolutely not
Right.
good. Don't
No,
do
it's
it.
only voting is only part of the fight. It's not
That's
the
right.
entire fight.
No.
And getting voted in doesn't give you authority to street. That's exactly right. But they rely on us, or we the people. And I say us as in the whole. They allow those of us who are stupid enough to want to vote away their rights. That's how that works. There is a strategy in place.
Yeah.
So
So,
I'm answering questions. Sorry.
that's okay.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yep. So another one is
there you go. Wrenchhead.
38 and 93.
I was looking at
Um,
Wrenchhead's comment here. If you look at the Department of Elections or even go to VPAP, it's clear our election wasn't rigged, just a lack of red votes. Yeah, I think that was pretty clear.
Hmm.
It really was. The people that,
mhm.
no point in voting Trump in, or whatever it was, they didn't turn out. And boy, did that change history for us big
Yep.
time. But we got to play the hand we just been dealt.
Yep.
What were you, which one were you pointing at?
38 and 93.
Yeah.
Person with a
Yep.
protective order that they
Mm.
have to have somebody hold their guns for them, but now it can't be their spouse or somebody that lives with them, and it can't be
A young adult.
somebody between 18 and 20.
Yeah, can't do that.
So,
That's so if I had a restraining order against me from somebody, a neighbor or something, why couldn't Margaret have my guns and make sure they were locked up and away from me? Why would that be such a terrible thing? Why does she have to be disarmed too? If I'm the one that, normally keeps the guns, she could take them. But to take all my guns, she doesn't have any. She's counting on using one of mine. She can't do it. Again, it's all about just another brick in the wall, trying to make
Yeah.
one more
mhm.
way to take your guns away and make it very inconvenient uh, to
This
do.
is this is the one that I've had more people contact me about and more students contact me about here recently. Like, oh my gosh, like if something happens, I work with a lot of military moms and military spouses and stuff like that in this area. That people that come through here, and they're like, my husband has PTSD. What's going to happen if I have to go through the steps? What if, God forbid, it's a rarity, but then again, it's not. That those firearms are taken away in those situations. But when it comes down to this, and she's like, what do I do? She was like, am I not allowed to protect myself if he's
Hmm.
having, a downtime? And I'm just like, this is what they want you to feel. They want you to feel defenseless.
Well,
you know?
they want you to be defenseless. They don't
Yeah,
want you to feel that way. They want you to be
absolutely.
defenseless.
So this is one of those that is exactly like how you have it in the VA alert, that punishes the wife and needlessly endangers her life, and that's exactly right.
And they don't care. This is not about safety. Again, I'll say it a million times. Gun control is not about public safety at
Mm-mm,
all. None of it is. So I don't ever try to read that in there and say, well, I don't see how this makes somebody safe. It wasn't meant to. It
mm-mm.
just wasn't meant to. Then we also had Delegate Lawfer put in a bill on public and secondary schools getting training on how to use red flags. So again, here we go, more and more
Yeah,
trying to disarm you. Now in this case, so your kid does something at school, and now they're trained on, oh, good, now I know how to get that red flag going against the parents, and we could
Hmm.
snap their guns away. Yeah, that's again, it's all part of civilian disarmament. It all
yep.
fits perfectly with it. Just another way to snap your guns away. Now they're using your children as the excuse to take your guns away because of something that the school deems to be a dangerous situation. Well, that would very much depend upon who's running that school and so
Hmm.
forth. So I don't trust that as far as I could throw it.
So Dan Liberty asked about which FFLs are affiliated with Hold My Guns. I don't know that any in
I'll
Virginia.
I can ask
Um,
Sarah.
yeah.
I think maybe she got one, and I believe that they had to meet a certain criteria of storage.
Hmm.
And I believe one or two, maybe in Northern Virginia, that she was able to get in touch with. But I can reach out to Sarah and ask her
Okay.
directly. Um, but yeah, I know that she was working really hard to get, a lot of places in Virginia. But the thing about Virginia is that a lot from the last time I looked, a lot of people or FFLs, unless you're going to a big sporting goods store or a mega store, they're either through pawn shops or they're actually like kind of like Pat. She's got her own setup, pretty much right there. And in her area, I mean, a lot of home run for FFLs.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not an FFL, so I mean, but
Right.
I mean, I've got like five of them up the road, and it's just every
Okay.
neighbor,
So
Well,
But
there's some federal laws that come into play there. So
hmm,
yeah,
um, and I have talked to her and the people that Hold My Guns a little bit, but it may be time to take a bigger look at that
yeah,
and see about bringing the program to Virginia on a wider scale.
yeah.
Um,
Let's
oh
for
yeah,
those that may not know, Hold My Guns is basically a mechanism whereby somebody who's having an emotional crisis, maybe a death in the family, a loss of
moving,
job, something
yeah,
where you're really down and out hard, and you just don't feel comfortable with having access to guns during that period of time. This way, you don't get the government involved. You simply have a place where you can take your guns, turn them over to somebody, and they'll hold them for you until you're ready to take them back, until everything calms down, your world gets back into normal order, and you want to go back to your normal life. That's
hmm,
what Hold My Guns is about.
yeah, they're awesome.
So they're not
Yeah,
trying to make you, they're not trying to cause problems because you're having mental issues. That happens. People have stress in their lives.
completely a
Uh,
voluntary turnover, and
Completely
you get them back.
voluntary. And you get them back when you want them back. But
Yep.
that's what this is about. For those of you who may not have heard of that, that's what this is in reference to. And Jill's going to check and see if they're, just out
Yeah.
of curiosity, how many and where we have them in Virginia right now.
So let's see, what else have we got?
Pekarsky. There, some of these, like Pekarsky's, it's SB 109, require schools to notify parents by text on the school's website and the school's website within 30 days of the start of the school about making sure that they have secured firearms from their children as per the law. So, it's basically kind of parents are being told what the law is. That's it's not a huge thing. And there's another one like that too that got signed, HB 201, Delegate Cohen. Similar thing, basically says the schools will remind parents about, one of them I think is about drugs, being loose in the house, like prescription drugs and guns, making sure they're secured. Well, I don't see a big issue there. It's just telling people what the law is. The other one that got signed is kind of had an interesting history here. HB 916, Delegate Lopez. Now that bill ended when it came in and it was introduced. We talked about it and decided that we could be neutral on it, because what it did was Lopez has just hated the NRA ever since he's been in the General Assembly and maybe before. So in the law, in the concealed carry law, the NRA and the USCCA, United States Concealed Carry Association, are specifically listed that any classes they offer are sufficient to get a concealed handgun permit, for the training to get a concealed handgun permit in Virginia. Well, Lopez just didn't like their names being in there, so he struck that out, and they put in some other wording that said basically any organization that offers a course that covers effective
Basic
and responsible use of basic safety, self-defense outside the homes, state laws pertaining to handguns, and
Safe storage.
proper storage. Yeah, that those all count. So we looked at that and said, okay, so all the NRA stuff can still fit under this, and the USCCA stuff will fit under this, and people that aren't instructors of either one that are offering legitimate courses, their courses too can be now used. So we didn't see any harm in that. Well, then the bill got to committee midterm, and in committee they said, oh yeah, there were some other places that the NRA and the USCCA were still in further down in the code section. There were a couple other places that they were listed. They decided to pull all of that out and get rid of that new wording we just talked about, and say that the courses had to be basically endorsed by the DCJS, Department of Criminal Justice Services, and the people teaching them had to be certified by DCJS. So this meant, number one, finding instructors was going to be a very tough thing as going forward. You wouldn't have anywhere near the number of instructors offering these courses. Number two, finding a course in general would be tough, because they also wanted live fire. He added that as well, as I recall. And that's a problem, because ranges don't normally let instructors teach, train, using a range for part of that course, unless they're actually part of the range. The instructors have an agreement with the range or employees. So this was going to be a true disaster. So then VCDL, when that bill got changed in committee, whoa, this was really, now we went from something we were neutral about to something like, holy cow, this could be one of the worst bills this session. And we went into full attack mode. And at the very end, the bill, how we saved this bill was, I got a hold of one of it was Senator Obenchain's office, and I said, this bill is going to have a fiscal impact. This is going to cost the state money. This is going to cost the Department of Criminal Justice Services money, because they're going to have to come up with some way to train possibly thousands of people. They're going to have to certify hundreds of courses and maintain all of this. And I said, and the bill didn't have a fiscal impact prior to that, because there was none. They just simply said anybody offering a certain course can do it. There was no cost. Now there was a cost. So they sent this thing back to a committee, finance committee, and the finance committee looked at it and said, whoa, and they basically clipped out all that and put it back the way it was originally, where there was no fiscal impact, sent it out. We went back to neutral, and the bill just got signed. So that was this shows you how things can flip in the General Assembly. You got to watch them like a hawk. A good bill
Right.
could turn to a bad bill and then back to a good bill again.
It really did.
Which is why people have been contacting VCDL and saying, what are the implications of the assault weapon ban? And I keep telling them, we can tell you how it is now, but until the governor actually signs it, it can change.
Yep.
So, and there are rumors that she may amend that particular bill. But Philip, we had several questions earlier about the magazines. Are they grandfathered currently on that bill? What's the deal with the?
Okay, as it stands, magazines are not grandfathered. Any magazine you have of whatever capacity above 15 that you have by June 30th, but before July 1, you can keep. They're not going to be taken away from you. They're not contraband, but you won't be able to sell them and you won't be able to buy new ones. So again, we're going to try and get an injunction on all this stuff, so maybe none of it will go into effect. But if we can't, it may go into effect for a few years before we can finally get to court and get it struck down. We will be fighting this stuff if it gets signed into law. But what I guess if you want to make life simple, if you are thinking about buying a gun that uses larger capacity magazines and their standard capacity is, let's say, 20 or whatever, if nothing else, buy the magazines now. Buy as many magazines as you think you want, and then buy the gun later, assuming it's not considered an assault firearm, because you won't be able to buy one of those after July 1. But if it's just like maybe it's a SIG 365 and you've always wanted to get the 25 round magazine for it, buy it now. If you want the 21 round, buy it now. You want some more 17 rounds, buy them now. Get that over with. So that's the recommendation there. You get what you want now. And if you want something that's going to be an assault firearm later, buy it before July 1. And I would suggest you think about doing that sooner than later, only because that there could be a more and more of a rush as time goes on, as people try to squeeze in purchases under the finish line.
And so if I'm remembering correctly, and if it hasn't changed since the last time I looked at it, the grandfather clause on the magazine, you can have what you already own, but you can't sell them.
Right.
Is that correct? And you
That's
can't
correct.
pass them on to your,
Nope.
you can't give them to people or anything like that. So,
They have to throw them in your coffin with you.
yes. And also, there's no age limit on magazines. So if
Right.
you are 17 years old and you're considering a particular gun when you turn 18 or 21, buy the magazines now.
Yeah, or buy them for your children. You got children,
Yes.
buy them magazines. They're allowed to have them. I think Gilbert Ambler, he's bought magazines for his 2-year-old. So when the baby is no longer a baby and has turned 18, got a slew of magazines. Of course, hopefully we'll get all this fixed at some point. And we're just going to have to see. But I'm just sort of giving you a worst case scenario. I do believe these magazine bans are going to eventually get struck down. But again, you may have to go several years. So it makes more sense to at least stock up on what you think you're going to need in case this does drag out for a few years. Ultimately, I think they're going to lose on this stuff. I'm like 95% certain that this is going to go down. But it just takes time. And so you got to do something in the meantime. And, I had to go to Margaret. Margaret, sorry, I'm going to have to buy another gun. I'm sorry, the governor's
darn.
forcing me to buy this gun.
Demon.
I was going to wait another year because it's like $1,800, but I'm gonna go ahead and buy. I'm sorry,
Right.
I
Being in
got.
this business, I can't really call it, but being in this activism, my husband just he lives it up. He's like, I mean, what is she gonna do? Complain about it and tell me not to? That's good.
But
Touche.
we are watching, of course, to see what happens with the rest of the bills. And we've kind of covered what's been signed, and we just don't know what's coming up. Monday night at midnight, so, one day and 3 hours from now, um, we're going to know what the governor did.
Yeah.
Again, she could sign a few more bills. She could submit changes to a few bills. We've heard a rumor that may be happening. Or she could veto a few bills, or she could not sign them. If she doesn't sign a bill and doesn't veto it, it will or change it. It becomes effectively law the on Tuesday. And I mean, it becomes it's not effective yet, but it's now law. But it won't take effect. Almost all of them take effect on July 1. There's a few exceptions which we'll cover. But that means that those bills are now locked down. We then now know exactly what the wording is going to be when they actually turn into law on July 1 if she doesn't sign them. So we're watching out for that. We're watching out for the vetoes. We're watching out for changes that are going on. So let's say she does changes um, and, um, and sends the bills back. On April 22nd, the General Assembly comes back, reconvenes for one day, and they go over every veto of every bill that she's done, and they try to override any vetoes. And for gun bills, if she vetoes a gun bill, they're not going to be able to override it. There's not a chance in hell they're going to be able to override the veto. And if she changes a bill, they have an option on that day to do two things. They can accept her change, and if they do, then the bill's set to become law at that point, or they can reject her change. Now, if they reject it, her options are, okay, that's fine. I'm gonna sign the bill, and it'll become law without my suggested changes. Or she could say, nope, without my change, I'm vetoing the bill. Okay, I want this in there. So we're just going to have to watch. So by April 23rd, we should have the final. We should know what's happened. We should now know what bills are dead, what the final format of the bills that are going to become law or become effective on July 1. So we still got a bit of a waiting game. We got our lawyers in the wings. We're watching this. The Department of Justice, Second Amendment Civil Rights Division, has been all over this. They sent a letter to the governor. This was a formal letter to the governor from Harmeet Dillon that said, some of the bills you're looking at signing are unconstitutional. The Fourth Circuit had said they were constitutional, some of the stuff, but the Fourth Circuit erred in what their ruling was. And basically, she said that the government will get involved in a lawsuit on this. So there's pressure coming from a bunch of different directions. I will say that dealing with her office has been, I mean, I don't know what it is, but when Democrats get control of like the General Assembly, things suddenly don't work anymore. Like clocks that stop running or whatever. I don't know. It just
Yeah.
nothing works anymore. I have called her office repeatedly, trying to get through to a human being. Maybe there aren't any there. I mean, no, maybe they're all bots. I don't know. But
Very, very,
I,
very outright, just like wildly, all of a sudden it stopped working.
yeah. Oh, I mean, I don't even get an Indian person to answer the phones over there. So instead, it goes to voicemail, and voicemail comes back and says, "Sorry, the mailbox is full. Call back later." It's like, what? Is this some little two-bit company that can't afford, people to answer the phones? And this has
Opened
happened
up my
over and over and
laptop.
over. You cannot get through. I've tried smoke signals.
Yeah.
They're just.
I mean, it unless she's got her spam filter on, she's gotten a ton of emails from me because I can't get through.
I've tried emailing,
I I told people. Somebody said next steps for one more push for a veto. The Right now, the only thing you can do is contact our office, the person that's asking
good
about
luck.
next steps, and we are down to the wire. So
Yeah, it's a little late. We've been
it's late,
asking.
but you can try. One more voice. I mean, we've been telling people, and I'm not saying not to. I'm saying if you have the opportunity, go ahead and do it. Somebody else asked a good question because I actually see that question often. Asking about the magazines, are they also grandfathered into this bill? I see that question a lot. Somebody asked it a little bit ago.
Well,
And
magazines are, yeah, they're grandfathered as long as you own them before July
July
1st.
1st. Okay,
Right.
gotcha.
But you can't sell them. You can't buy new ones. Now, this is 16 rounds or more. If you're getting 15 rounders, you're fine. Those will continue to be available and legal
And
to
Yeah.
buy after July 1. But
by the
everything else,
way, the magazines do not specify for centerfire ammunition.
That's the other
So,
one, yeah.
large capacity ammunition feeding device means a magazine, belt, drum, feed strip, or similar device that has a capacity of or that can be readily restored or converted to accept more than 15 rounds of ammunition, but does not include an attached tubular device that is designed to accept and capable of operating only with 22 caliber rimfire ammunition. So you 17 HMR people are out of luck.
Hmm.
Um, and it does not specifically say for centerfire. Now, the firearm specifically applies to centerfire. So when you're talking about like the assault, quote unquote, assault rifle or assault pistol, that is limited to centerfire, and your rimfire, your 22 long rifle ARs are perfectly legal, but your 223 caliber, 22 caliber ARs are um, covered by their
Hmm.
bill. So, but the magazines, if you have a 25 round, 22 caliber magazine, 22 long rifle magazine, that's going to get swept up in that
Bill.
large capacity magazine feeding device thing. So, at least as it stands right now, we don't know what it's going to look like by tomorrow midnight.
Tomorrow, yeah.
yeah,
So,
I was looking to see if I could find a link for somebody. We set up. I mean, several times in the alerts, I had a thing to click to send a message to the governor to veto these bills. I was going to see
mhm.
if I could find that to see if
People,
people wanted to, that hadn't done that already, wanted to get off a last minute shot at the governor to veto these bills. Uh,
Let me look on. That was on fiscal note.
yeah.
Let me see if I can find it and plop it in the chat.
other than that, I think that I couldn't believe G-Man GSW got a real person. He could get a real person when he called.
What?
He says, "I can't believe
Whoa! What is?
it." Yeah. Where's your
You're gonna have
heart?
to share your secret with me on how you.
Sorry.
Oh, here
So
we
sorry.
go. I'm gonna put. I've got iPad. I can get the link. I think. Let's see.
All right. Can you
Uh,
drop it in the chat? Are you able
yeah.
to do
I
that?
don't
Okay.
know. Let me. Just a minute. Yeah. Here we go. All right. Just a minute. Let me see if I can
Let's see.
go to the chat.
While they search, I'm just looking through y'all's chats. Maybe things that I've missed.
Yeah,
I don't know
see
that
if
I've
there's
ever
any
posted
questions we
anything in
missed.
the
I've been
chat.
trying to watch them.
What law enforcement agencies will enforce these laws? Well, it looks like right now, county sheriffs throughout the state are standing firm on their two-way sanctuary status if they've already signed
Pat,
one. But I want to say, I mean, take it for what it is, but the state police seems to be very angry with Spanberger in her decisions thus far that would affect them as an organization themselves. So, anywho, they also put out a statement saying that they would not enforce any unconstitutional laws that we have been reading about in the
And
social media verse.
and some people will kind of go on the attack when they saw the state police going, we don't, there's nothing in there that anything about confiscation. And people were just, I don't know, sort of in pre-attack mode, like, oh, these state police is given the chance they'll come confiscate our guns. I don't think that's the right attitude at all. We've not had a bad relationship at all with the police, state police, even Fairfax County police. We have a great relationship with all of them.
Richmond,
There's some
even the
wonderful people in the police. Yeah, there's going to be
absolutely.
some. There are going to be some that could do something like confiscation, but the majority of them don't want anything to do with this. That's not who they are. That's not
That
why they're doing the job they're doing. So we need to not start attacking somebody over something they've not done and don't want to do, and maybe probably will never do. Why would you do that? None of us like to be painted with a broad brush. What makes you think they want to be painted with a broad brush?
it's really easy to focus on the negative that comes out of a lot of the social media posts, especially like
It
people
is.
and like the rally that happened after Lobby Day. We had no problem with Richmond PD on Lobby Day. They loved us. We had the best time hanging out with those guys, and they were in full uniform, having the best, like Capitol Police, just having the best time with us. And then you see the rally that happened after, and a lot of people having some confrontation. Needless to say, I'm going to say this, a lot of those people that were at that second rally were there on Lobby Day. I was standing right there watching them all come in and hanging
Hmm.
out with all the. I went, I'm telling on myself, I went and put uh, some propaganda on John McGuire. He's my congressman. So anyway, I went and put some stuff on his truck. Richmond PD thought it was the funniest thing because I was trying to hide from them, and they were laughing and very just like they're like like, girl, get on out of here, you're crazy. But anyway, fact of the matter is, don't don't make them a problem when they have not proven themselves to be one yet.
Right. It's
Uh,
not fair. It's not.
I
It's
mean,
not the
because
way to
you're gonna.
go.
It's kind of like, I mean, if the bear is over there doing its own thing and minding its own business, why are you gonna poke at it and tease it and everything else for it to lash out at you? Just
Yeah.
stop. Don't. Yeah. Just chill. Wait. Be cautiously optimistic.
Yeah. Yeah. Because and I try to hold back on some of this, but it's hard.
Yeah.
Again, I
Especially
was I,
now.
I was in law enforcement for 7 years. I know when I was in there, the last thing on earth I'd want to do is take away the guns from somebody that
Gosh.
was constitutionally their right, and some idiot in government passed some law that was unconstitutional. That's not what I got involved
Right.
in law enforcement. I wanted to get the evil people, the people that were harming others, had bad
Yes.
intent. I wanted to get them off the street to make that part of Texas safer. That's why I got in, and that's why a lot of these guys are in it. They don't want to. They don't
Exactly.
want to have to do this. Yeah, they do get a paycheck, and yeah, it could be tough if they were ordered to do it because they're thinking I've got a family I've got to support. Well,
Mhm.
that's always the way it is for all police across the nation. And but let me say this: misdemeanors in Virginia have discretion attached to them. An
Yes.
officer can decide not to charge you for a misdemeanor. A felony, legally, his hands are tied. He's got to arrest you, whether he thinks you deserve it or not, if it's a felony that you're being charged with. Misdemeanors, they don't have to. So, an officer could say, hey, don't do that again, and whatever, and let you go. I mean, that's very much in there. And most of the stuff they put in are fortunately misdemeanors and not felonies.
That's right. But I just say, just pay attention to yourself. That's the best thing I can say. Anybody that's ever taken a firearm safety class, you learn about situational awareness. Just stay out of trouble. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't want to go into a whole rant. You have to pay me for that.
So Pat,
You can sign up a class.
Yeah, Pat posted. I don't know. I never posted on this thing. So Pat
Yeah.
posted the link for those of you that might want to click on it tonight to send a pre-written email to the governor, urging her to veto bills. Again, in Virginia, you don't want to say don't sign the bill because it'll become law without a signature. So you specifically say I want you to veto it. because that's the only way for sure the bill was going to die.
Yeah.
And
Will she
I
do it? I don't
saw,
know. But yeah, I tell you what, she's under a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
Her numbers are in the tank. Normally, this time of year, 80 days or whatever into the term for a new governor, they've been up like 18 points or 14 points. She's up one, way below everybody else, just barely hanging in there. Just razor thin margin, saying that most people are disagree with her. I mean, she's right on the edge. So she's under a lot of pressure right now to do the right thing. That's what we're asking her to do.
Yep.
Pat, did you say something?
yeah, I said that G-Man said that he did get through. I'm assuming he meant he did get through to Spanberger's office.
Okay.
So he must have been
Wow.
one of the lucky ones.
Yeah, geez, maybe you set a world record there. You're the one guy that got through. You could write a book about your experience.
Well, maybe they recognized the caller ID if you were calling from the VCDL phone.
I didn't. I called from my cell,
Yeah.
but still, well, the first time I did get through and left a message, never heard back. So I can also
Mhm.
say if you get through, they don't usually return your calls. We tried going through their website to schedule to drop off, a petition and
Yeah.
filled it out. Never heard a word, not a peep. Very unprofessional. Very, very, very unprofessional.
By the way, over 13,000 people signed the petition to tell the General Assembly and the governor to not pass this legislation that they're doing. So, yeah, and growing. People are still signing it.
Yes.
Yep.
Well, we'll continue to use that, but we'll use that petition next year too.
Hmm.
Just to remind as it grows. Say, by the way, this is the bigger version this year.
Yep. All right. Well, is there anything else we need to discuss? We are an
Let me
hour
see
and
here.
17 minutes into this, and I think we've hit all the questions. Yeah, Wrenchhead said he used to use a payphone, but they're hard to find. I
Yeah,
used to have a
boy.
payphone, but I sold it because we didn't use it anymore.
Yeah,
Actually, because I canceled the landline and the payphone didn't work anymore. But yeah.
yeah. If you forget your cell phone at home, you're in a lot of trouble nowadays. There's
Hmm.
nowhere to pull over to make a phone call.
Yeah. And that old saying, buddy, can you spare a dime? People look at you like, what?
A dime. Well, they don't
Yeah,
even. Pretty soon they won't know what a penny is anymore
I
because they're
know.
they're discontinued.
Anyway, I think we've covered, well, I know we covered all the bills that were going to be signed, and
Yeah.
I think we covered most of the questions that people have, the burning questions. Philip, are you planning on putting out an alert on Tuesday, or are we going to have maybe another impromptu live at some point?
It depends. I'll definitely put out an alert if nothing else at a minimum. If we decide to also do a quick video online meeting or whatever, we could do that too. We'll just have to see what transpires tomorrow. That's going to be a very, very important day for us to watch. So I have another alert that'll be going out in the morning, and a reminder that we're going to have a meeting in Amherst County on Thursday, and some other items. There's like 7 or 8 items in the new alert that'll be going out early in the morning tomorrow. That will not be the What you're going to be looking for on this is a legislative update. The legislative updates only cover bills and things like that. The general updates cover pretty much everything but those, with rare exceptions. So watch for a legislative alert on either Monday late, possibly, or more than likely Tuesday at some time. As soon as we can pull together the information. Sometimes the legislative system that the government has, it takes them a while to update it. She signed bills on Friday. They still don't have them on the system. I checked earlier today. They aren't even there yet, so they'll show up tomorrow. But they were signed back on Friday. So the only reason we knew she signed them was that she put out a press release. But the tracking
Yeah.
system still doesn't show those are signed, but they are. So, but I went over every bill she signed because they also gave a list of everything she signed, and I double checked that we didn't miss anything in there, and we hadn't. So tomorrow is a big day. We'll see what happens. Then the next big day will be the 22nd, if there are any changes to the bills, or if in the event she vetoes anything. But like I say, I don't think there's any way they can override vetoes. So, not on guns.
Yeah. It's 9
That's
months away. I'm just going to go ahead and say this real quick. Don't forget to take January 18th, which is Monday, January 18th, 2027, off for VCDL Lobby Day.
Yeah, let's not
Yeah.
have an anemic lobby day. We've already seen what happens when we don't
Yeah.
show up in numbers.
Yeah,
You know,
and somebody did ask about it or mention it earlier in the chat box that we need to flip the General Assembly this November. So the entire House and Senate is up for election this coming November.
no,
And
next November, right?
no,
This
coming
November,
November.
this November is the federal election. This is our chance
Okay.
to.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the next year is when we need to show up for Virginia to change the House and the Senate. If we flip just one, that'll put an end to the bad stuff. Flipping two of them will be a heck of a strong message, and then we still have to wait for
Right,
the
2027.
yeah. But this
Yeah.
year is important because this year, Senator Warner's up for re-election. It'd be a horrible shame if he were not to win. That would be terrible.
And some people are asking, we were supposed to have his opponent on this evening, but there was also a schedule conflict with him as
Yeah.
well. MarkMoran.com, I believe, is where his information is. So far, he's like 90% pro 2A. To be a Democrat and come over this far, especially his story as to why he carries now. I mean, y'all be the judge. That's Mark Moran.
Yeah, I'd like to have him on so people can ask him
Yeah.
questions. So
So
you
he's
guys can ask him the hard
yeah.
questions.
So
Yeah,
and I
he-
had a bunch of questions myself tonight, but oh well.
He had a conflict tonight, but maybe he'll come on next month.
Okay. Yeah, I think people, are going to want to ask him questions, as they should. Because he is a Democrat, and because we've had such bad luck with Democrats running for office in Virginia. But he's bucked that trend. But tough questions need to be asked.
Yeah.
I've certainly
Just-
talked to him and asked some tough questions.
Yeah, people, just in case, just remember we are a two-way organization, so just
Nonpartisan.
yeah, just remember that, okay? And he came out strong with it. I mean, I even texted a ton of people thinking, if you know the history of Virginia and the Dixiecrats and the Blue Dog Democrats and stuff like that, he matches a lot of that, like based off of the actual purple of what Virginia was built on, the
Right.
purple principles, so to speak. So go ahead and look up that and then go check him out. He's coming out strong, pro 2A, so I'm telling Mark Warner to, yeah.
And I guess that later on we'll find out who the Republican. I assume they're going to be a primary going there. We'll find out who the Republican's going to be, and we know all about Mark Warner. I mean, he's we all know about Mark
Supposed
Warner.
to retire years ago, but
Oh yeah, way past his prime. And he also said he was only going to run for 2 terms, so he lied on that. So anyhow.
yeah.
Elections have consequences. Let's see if we can do something for Virginia, one way or the other, to make it a better state this November. Better
Amen.
country. All right. Anything else, Pat?
I don't think so. Other than to mention, if you are not a VCDL member, please consider joining. The dues help fund the fight, and we're looking at multiple additional lawsuits in addition to the ones we're already fighting here in Virginia. So if you want to help support those, visit vcdl.org/donate.
Oh, I did have something else too, and be on the lookout for more auctions. We've got two guns we're going to auction off in the very near future, and we have yet another one more of the. I just went blank.
Mantis X.
Mantis. I always want to say when I think of mantis, I'm always thinking of a different insect as opposed to a praying mantis that throws me. Yeah, we have another Mantis X Elite that we'll put up for auction. The other one technically closes out on the 14th, and then we're going to start spacing out a few different auctions. So firearms may be in your future for an auction. So keep an eye open for that.
Yep. And we have some 40% off certificates also.
Right.
But they will be coming up on the website very soon. So,
yeah, I'm gonna let this first auction time out. Once it's done, we've got the winner and get all that straightened out. Then we're gonna just start doing shorter auctions. I did 2 weeks on the first one. There's no need for it to go that long, so I'm gonna shorten to maybe a week at the most, or give people a chance to bid on things like firearms.
Absolutely. But anyway, thank everybody who tuned in tonight. Thank you all for sticking it out for this hour, almost an hour and a half now. And please do all of the social media things, the like, the share, the comments, that all help the algorithm. You know how our videos are suppressed by the powers that be, so help us out and help us spread the word. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And we will definitely be here on the second Sunday of next month, and we may pop on in the interim with some updates as well. So those will be announced in the VA alert. If you are not subscribed, it is free. If you are a member, you should be getting them automatically.
If you're not, check your spam filter too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because some of the major email providers, free email providers, tend to classify us as spam, and some of them have even blocked us as what do you call it? Anyway, as reported for spam when the person did not report it. So. Anyway, yeah, you should have gotten 2, I think, last week.
Yeah, if you don't get 1 a week, then something's wrong. Because literally every week, at least 1 goes out.
And if you're not sure if you're getting them or not, or gotten the most recent ones, you can go to vcdl.org/VA-alerts plural and see the most recent ones up there. They're all up there, but you can just check and make sure that you've been getting them. So, Jill, you have anything else?
No, that is all from me.
Okay. Well, thanks again for joining us, folks, and you have a great evening and a great month, and we'll see you next month.
And we see some of you out in Amherst County.
Yep.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye. Okay.